The old Ashford well sat at the edge of the property like a scar on the land. Nobody in town talked about it much anymore. The kids dared each other to toss pebbles into its black mouth and run, but the adults stayed clear. They remembered the stories their grandparents told, the ones about the woman who went down there and never came back up. They remembered the humming that used to come from the stone circle on still autumn nights. Thomas Ashford didn't believe in any of that garbage. He was a physicist, a man of hard facts and measurable data. He had retreated to his family's crumbling manor in upstate New York to escape the guilt that had been eating him alive for the past 2 years. A graduate student under his supervision had lost her hearing during a botched acoustic experiment. His fault, his arrogance, his mess. The manor was supposed to be his sanctuary. Instead, it became his prison. It started on the night of the autumn equinox. Thomas was in the library, nursing a glass of bourbon and staring at nothing, when he heard it. A faint hum, so low it was almost a vibration in his chest rather than a sound in his ears. He dismissed it as wind through the broken shutters. But the next night, the hum had shape. It had weight. It had words. "Help me." Thomas froze. His glass slipped from his fingers and shattered on the hardwood floor. He told himself it was exhaustion, stress, the bourbon playing tricks on his mind. But the voice came again, clearer this time, threading through the drafty halls like smoke. "Please, I am lost. I am so cold." He followed the sound. His boots echoed in the empty corridors as he made his way through the overgrown garden, past the rusted iron gates, to the edge of the property where the well stood. The moon was full and ugly, the color of spoiled milk. The well looked back at him like a dead eye. He leaned over the rim. "Who's there?" Silence. Then, the voice, rising from the darkness below. "You can hear me." Finally. "It's been so long, Thomas." The hair on his arms stood up. The voice knew his name. For weeks, Thomas tried to apply logic to the situation. He lowered cameras, microphones, thermal sensors into the well. Nothing. No heat signatures, no visual evidence, no rational explanation. The well was exactly what it appeared to be. A hole in the ground, about 40 feet deep, with a damp stone bottom and a layer of stagnant water. But the voice kept talking. It told him stories. It told him about Alara Vance, a governess who had worked at the manor in the 1870s. She had been beautiful, the voice said. Kind. Alistair Ashford, Thomas's great-great-grandfather, had fallen obsessively in love with her. When she rejected him, he flew into a rage. He was an occultist, a student of the dark arts, and he used his forbidden knowledge to trap her soul inside the well. She had been screaming in the darkness for 150 years. "I didn't do anything wrong," the voice whispered, trembling with sorrow. "I just wanted to live my life. He took everything from me. Please, Thomas, you're a good man. I can feel it. You have a kind heart. You want to fix things, don't you? You want to make up for what happened to that girl in your lab." Thomas's stomach lurched. The voice knew about his student. It knew about his guilt. It knew the one thing he had never told another living soul. "You understand pain," the voice continued, soft and honeyed. "You understand being trapped by circumstances beyond your control. Free me, Thomas. Let me rest. It's the only way you'll ever find peace yourself." It was manipulation, pure and simple. Anyone with clear eyes could see it. But Thomas didn't have clear eyes. He had guilt-ridden eyes, desperate eyes, eyes that saw in Alara's story a mirror of his own failure. He would save her. He would atone. He spent weeks digging through Alistair's journals, which he found hidden in a secret compartment of the old desk. The handwriting was frantic, bordering on insane. The entries described rituals, frequencies, a soul note that could open the barrier between worlds. Alistair had written about Alara with a mixture of hatred and terror. She is not what she appears. One entry read, I have made a terrible mistake. The well is not a prison. It is a door, and she has the key. Thomas misread it completely. He thought Alistair was confessing his crime, warning future generations about the horror he had unleashed. He didn't realize the journal was a cry for help from a man who had been outsmarted by something far worse than himself. He built the resonator according to Alistair's diagrams. Copper coils, glass tubes, a mechanism designed to produce a single, pure frequency. His rational mind told him this was insane. He was a physicist, not a sorcerer. But the voice had burrowed into his brain like a parasite. The night he decided to perform the ritual, his only friend, Silas Finch, showed up at the manor unannounced. Silas was an antiquarian, a bookish old man who had always been more fascinated by the supernatural than he should have been. But even he looked pale and frightened when he saw the resonator set up by the well. Thomas, don't do this, he begged. I've been researching Alistair. He wasn't trying to trap a ghost. He was trying to contain something. Something that had already killed 3 servants before he figured out how to lock it away. That voice isn't a victim. It's a predator. Thomas shook him off. You don't understand. She's suffering. I can end it. I can fix this. Fix what? Your own guilt? This isn't about Alara. This is about you and your need to make up for what happened in that lab. The words stung because they were true. But Thomas was too far gone to care. He turned the crank on the resonator. The hum began, low and resonant, vibrating in his teeth. He adjusted the pitch, searching for the note Alistair had described. And then he found it. The air changed. It grew thick and cold, like standing in a freezer. A white mist began to rise from the well, twisting and coiling like a living thing. It coalesced into a figure. A woman in a flowing white dress, her face beautiful and sad, her eyes filled with tears. Alara Vance. She reached out a spectral hand toward him. Thank you, Thomas, she breathed. You have no idea how long I've waited for someone like you. He reached for her. His fingers were inches from hers when he saw it, a flicker in her eyes. Something cold, something hungry. The beautiful face twisted, the sadness replaced by a predatory grin that split her features like a wound. Fool, she hissed, and her voice was no longer soft and sorrowful. It was a shriek, an avalanche of sound that shook the ground. The same as him, always the same, so desperate to be a hero that you can't see the trap until it snaps shut. The vision of the woman dissolved. In her place was a column of swirling darkness, shot through with sickly green light. It pulsed like a heartbeat. It reached for Thomas with tendrils of shadow, trying to pull him into the well. He stumbled backward. The resonator was still screaming its single note, acting as a bridge between the well and the world. The thing, whatever it was using the sound to escape. It had been playing him all along. The sorrow, the pleading, the stories of injustice, all of it was performance. It had learned human empathy over a century of listening, learned exactly which buttons to push to make a broken man open the door. Thomas scrambled for the resonator. He had to stop it. But the tendrils of shadow were wrapping around his ankles, cold and numbing. The voice was everywhere now, laughing, shrieking, triumphant. You wanted to help, Thomas? You wanted to make things right? Then come down here and join me. We can be trapped together for eternity. Isn't that what you deserve? In that moment, clarity hit him like a thunderbolt. He remembered the last line of Alistair's journal, the one he had dismissed as madness. The echo of the first cry is the only key to silence. He had thought it meant a note, a sound. But what if it meant the opposite? What if it meant silence itself? He grabbed the iron crowbar he had brought with him and swung it with all his might at the copper coils. The crash was deafening. The pure note shattered into a chaos of dissonant noise, then collapsed into absolute, profound silence. The vacuum of sound lasted only a second, but it was enough. The connection severed, the shadows retreated, snapping back into the well like rubber bands. The mist vanished, the moonlight returned to its normal, placid glow. Thomas collapsed on the grass, gasping. Silas rushed to his side, helping him up. They stared at the well. It was just a well again, cold, silent, empty. "Is it gone?" Silas whispered. Thomas shook his head. "Not gone, just sealed. It's still down there, waiting for the next fool who thinks they're a hero." He sealed the well with a massive stone slab. He packed his bags and left the manor the next morning, never to return. He went back to the city, back to his teaching, back to the life he had fled. He never spoke of what happened, but sometimes, in the dead of night, he wakes up certain he hears a faint whisper on the edge of hearing. And he wonders, was he the one who escaped? Or did the thing in the well let him go, knowing he would carry it with him forever, in his memories, in his fears, in the guilt that could never be fully erased? He doesn't know. He doesn't want to know. But the well is still there, and the voice is still waiting.